Hi everyone, welcome to Eco Learning Classes. This is Professor Geeta Mahesh. Dear students, let us answer the following questions. So here we are going to discuss chapter wise 1 marks question and answers. So let us start. Why does problem of choice arises? So problem of choice arises due to satisfying unlimited wants with a limited resources which have alternative uses. So we are trying to satisfy our unlimited wants with a limited resources, and resources are not only limited but have alternative uses. So this leads to problem of choice. What is market economy? Market economy is an economy where all economic decisions are undertaken by private sector. So here market economy is an economy in which economic decisions are undertaken by private sector. What do you mean by centrally planned economy? Centrally planned economy is an economy where all economic decisions are taken by government. So here under centrally planned economy, economic decisions are undertaken by government. Next question, give the meaning of microeconomics. Micro means small. So microeconomics deals with a small part of the economy or individual units. So microeconomics is a study of economic actions of individuals or small group of individuals. What do you mean by positive economics? Positive economics studies what was and what is in a given set of circumstances. So here positive economics studies what was and what is under given set of circumstances. It tried to bring the relationship between the causes and consequences. What is normative economics? Normative economics studies with respect to what ought to be. That means it tries to explain what should be and what should not be done. Now let us discuss from second chapter important questions. What is budget line? Budget line is a graphical representation of all possible combination of two goods whose cost is exactly equal to consumer's income. You can see here, dear students, it is a graphical presentation of different combination of two goods which the consumer consumes whose cost is exactly equal to his income. What do you mean by cardinal utility analysis? Cardinal utility analysis is measured and expressed in terms of cardinal numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on. Give the meaning of marginal utility. Marginal utility is nothing but additional utility derived by a consumer by consuming additional unit of commodity. Or you can say it is a utility derived by consumer by consuming an additional unit of commodity. Now let us discuss what is utility. Utility is a power or capacity of a commodity to satisfy human wants, or it refers to wants satisfying power of a commodity or service. Expand MRS, marginal rate of substitution. So here it is very important for 1 mark. What do you mean by indifference curve? It is a graphical representation of all possible combination of two goods which gives us same or equal level of satisfaction. So you can say Indifference curve shows different combination of two products in which consumer gets equal satisfaction. What is demand? Demand refers to quantity of goods that consumer purchases in a market at a particular price and time. So here demand refers to desire for a commodity backed by purchasing power and willingness to pay at a particular price and time. We call it as demand. So if a person is going to buy a quantity of a particular good, then it becomes a demand. Dear students, now let us discuss few important questions from third chapter. What do you mean by total product? Total product indicates total volume of goods and services produced during a given period of time, generally a year. What is average product? It is an output per unit of variable input. It is denoted by AP. AP equals TP divided by L. Give the meaning of marginal product. So it is an additional good produced by additional unit of variable factor. What is the formula for MP? TPN minus TPN minus 1. Next one, write the meaning of cost function of a firm. So cost function of firm describes the least cost of producing each level of output given the price of factors of production and technology. If price of factors of production and technology are given, in that situation, if we choose the least cost of producing each level of output, this we call it as cost function of a firm. So cost function of a firm explains the relationship between output and cost of production. What is total fixed cost? So cost that firm incurs to employ fixed factor inputs is called total fixed cost. I repeat once again, cost that a firm incurred to employ fixed inputs are called total fixed cost. What is average fixed cost? Total fixed cost per unit of output, we call it as average fixed cost. What is the formula for average fixed cost? Total fixed cost divided by quantity. So total fixed cost per unit of output, we call it as average fixed cost. From fourth chapter, define marginal revenue. Marginal revenue refers to additional revenue generated from the sale of an additional unit of product. When you are going to sell additional unit of output, whatever the revenue from that sale of additional unit, we call it as additional revenue. This additional revenue is known as marginal revenue. To which side does supply curve shifts due to technological progress? Due to technological progress, supply curve will shift towards the right side. When there is a technological progress, the cost of production decreases. So, short run marginal cost or long run marginal cost curve will shift towards the right side, and we know that the marginal cost itself is a supply curve of a firm. So it shifted towards the right side. Write the formula to calculate average revenue. Average revenue is nothing but a total revenue generated per unit of output sold. So total revenue divided by quantity, you are going to get an average revenue. What is normal profit? Normal profit is also known as a situation of zero profit. That means total revenue minus total cost is equal to 0. The revenue or the profit which is just enough or sufficient to cover all its cost, we call it as a normal profit. What do you mean by supernormal profit? Supernormal profit is nothing but anything over and above normal profit, we call it as supernormal profit. The profit that earns over and above the normal profit is called supernormal profit. What does market supply curve shows? Market supply curve shows aggregate supply of all the firms in the market at different level of prices. So that means supply curve shows output levels that firms in the market produce in aggregate corresponding to different values of market price. Define market equilibrium. It is a situation where plans of all consumers and firms in the market matches the market players. Let us consider market players are consumers and the suppliers. So, where both the plans are matches, that point we call it as equilibrium point. So, it is a market equilibrium where the plans of all consumers and firms matches each other. What is equilibrium price? Equilibrium price is a price at which market demand is equal to market supply. So, this is the place where both consumers and producers plans matches and market is in equilibrium. At this point, if we determine the price, this we call it as equilibrium price. See, is a price at which quantity demanded of a commodity is equal to quantity supplied. When do we say that there is an excess demand in the market? Let us assume that this is the prevailing price which is less than the equilibrium price. So, at this situation, quantity demanded is QD and quantity supplied is QS. You can see at P1 price, at prevailing price P1, quantity demand is greater than quantity supply. So, this situation we call it as excess demand. If the market demand exceeds the market supply at prevailing market price, it is said that excess demand exists in the market. What is price ceiling? Price ceiling is an upper limit imposed by the government on essential goods or services is called as price ceiling. See, imposing of upper limit on the prices of essential goods and services by the government is called price ceiling. What is price floor? Imposing of lower limit on the prices of particular goods and services is called as price floor. So, imposing lower limits on the prices of particular goods and services by government is called as price floor. Through which legislation the government ensures that the wage rate of laborers does not fall below a particular level. So, we have a law that we call it as minimum wage legislation, which is going to ensure that the wage rates of laborers does not fall below a particular level. What is monopoly? Mono means single, poly means seller. So, it is a situation where there will be a single seller. Monopoly is a market structure in which there is a single seller. Write the equation of demand function. So, demand in relation to price of a product is equal to A minus BP. So, QD equals A minus BP. Give the meaning of monopolistic competition. Monopolistic competition is a market situation where there will be a large number of small sellers dealing with a heterogeneous product with a free entry and exit. It is a type of imperfect competition in which there are large number of small sellers selling a differentiated product with a free entry and exit. Give the meaning of oligopoly market. Oligo means few, poly means seller. It is a few sellers market, we call it as oligopoly market. So, it is a market situation in which there are few sellers engaged in selling a homogeneous or they may sell heterogeneous products. What is duopoly? Duo means two, poly means seller. So, it is a situation where there will be only two sellers. See here, it is a special case of oligopoly market where there are only two firms operating in the market. Who are economic agents? Individuals or institutions which take economic decisions are called economic agents. What does classical school of thought says? Classical school of thought says that all the laborers who are ready to work will find employment and all factories will be working at their full capacity. So here those who are interested to work, they will get a employment opportunity and all the factories will be working at their full capacity. This was the assumption made by classical school of thought. Give the meaning of imports. When economy buys goods from the rest of the world, we call it as imports. So, economy buys goods from the rest of the world or from other countries are called imports. Name the well-known work of Adam Smith. The well-known work of Adam Smith is An Enquiry into the Nature and Causes of Wealth of Nations, which is published in 1776 and it is popularly known as Wealth of Nations. What do you mean by wage rate? It is the rate at which labor is sold and purchased. That means the sale and purchase of labor service at a particular price is called as wage rate. What do you mean by final goods? Final goods are those goods which are ready to consume, are an item meant for final use and will not pass through any more stages of production or transformation is called final goods. Expand CPI, Consumer Price Index. Expand GNP, so Gross National Product at Market Price. How do you get net value added? From gross value added, if we deduct the depreciation charges, then you will arrive at a net value added. After deducting value of depreciation from gross value added, you will arrive at net value added. Give the meaning of GDP. So, it is an aggregate or total value of goods and services produced in an economy in a year. It measures the aggregate production of final goods and services. Give the meaning of intermediate goods. Intermediate goods are those goods which are mostly used as raw material to produce or production of other commodities. What is depreciation? Depreciation is a deduction made from the value of gross investment. So, it is a deduction made from the gross investment in order to accumulate a regular wear and tear of capital is called depreciation. How do we get personal disposable income? From personal income, if we deduct personal tax payments and non-tax payment, we will arrive at a personal disposable income. So, from personal income, if we deduct personal tax payments and non-tax payments, we will arrive at personal disposable income. Write the equation of gross value added at market price. So, gross value added at market price is equal to gross value added at basic price plus net product taxes. You can arrive at gross value added at market price. What is GDP deflator? It is a ratio of nominal GDP to real GDP is called GDP deflator. What do you mean by barter system? Where the goods are exchanged against goods are called barter system. So here commodities are exchanged with the commodities, or exchanging of goods against goods, we call it as barter system. Give the meaning of money. Money is anything which is generally accepted as a medium of exchange and measure of value, which also acts as a store of value and transfer of value. Here you can see money is a commonly accepted as a medium of exchange, and at the same time it acts as a convenient unit of account. So, the primary functions of money is medium of exchange and measure of value. So, measure of value means it acts as a convenient unit of account is nothing but every item can be expressed in terms of money. What is time deposit? So, if you deposit for a fixed period of maturity, then it is called as fixed deposit. Time deposit is also known as fixed deposit, is one which have fixed period of maturity. Example, fixed deposit. What is fiat money? Fiat money is a paper currency where the face value of currency is greater than the intrinsic value or making cost of a currency. So, all legal tender money we call it as fiat money. The present paper currency and coins we call it as fiat money. So, currency notes and coins are called fiat money. Write the meaning of high-powered money. High-powered money is issued by central bank and it can be held by public and by commercial banks. See, it is issued by central bank and held by public and by commercial banks. Expand CRR, cash reserve ratio. What is bank rate? It is a rate at which RBI lends loans to commercial banks without securities. The bank rate is the rate at which RBI lends loan to commercial banks. Write the meaning of autonomous consumption. Autonomous consumption is a consumption which takes place even if income is zero. It is independent of income. So, autonomous consumption will not depend on income. It is independent of income. And this consumption will take place even if income is zero. Give the meaning of marginal propensity to save. So, change in savings due to change in income or we can consider it refers to change in savings per unit of change in income. So, formula for this is delta S divided by delta Y. Define average propensity to save. Average propensity to save means savings per unit of income. See here, savings, okay, savings per unit of income. It is denoted by APS equals S divided by income. Write the meaning of full employment level of income. So, what is full employment level of income? It refers to level of income where all the factors of production are fully employed in the production process. Mention two variables which influence aggregate demand. So, we need to mention the variables which influence market demand are tax and government expenditure which influence aggregate demand. Write the formula for MPC. MPC equals delta C divided by delta Y. So, consumption, change in consumption due to change in level of income, or change in consumption per unit of change in income, we call it as marginal propensity to consume. What are public goods? Public goods are those goods whose benefit will be available to all. Here it is not possible to avoid non-paying users. So here public goods are provided by government. Here these goods provide benefit to all. For example, national defense, roads, etc. Who are free riders? Free riders, we call it as non-paying users. So here free riders are those who do not pay for the use of public goods. They are called as non-paying users or riders. What do you mean by public provision? Here it means that they are financed through budget and can be used without any direct payment. For example, for midday meals, the cost are to conduct a program. It is financed through budget itself. While students are consuming midday meals, they are not making any direct payment. Give the meaning of progressive tax. It is a rate of tax rises with every rise in income. Higher the income, higher will be the tax rate. What are revenue receipts? Revenue receipts are those money receipts which does not create a liability on government. Or you can define in other words, are those receipts do not lead to a claim of the government. They are divided into two types, tax revenue and non-tax revenue. Give the meaning of capital receipts. Capital receipts are money receipts which creates liability or reduces the financial assets. So here those receipts of the government which create a liability or reduced financial assets. So these receipts can be debt creating or non-debt creating receipts. Give the meaning of revenue expenditure. Revenue expenditure is the expenses incurred by the government for normal functioning of government departments. See here expenses incurred for the purpose of functioning of government departments. Give the meaning of capital expenditure. A government expenditure are expenses incurred by the government in creation of physical assets, financial assets or reduction of liabilities. See here, it is expenses incurred by the government in creation of physical, financial assets or reduction in the liabilities, financial liabilities. Expand FRBM, Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act. What is primary deficit? Primary deficit is equal to fiscal deficit minus interest payment. You can see here, dear students, primary deficit is equal to fiscal deficit minus interest payment by the government. What do you mean by open economy? An economy which has trade relation with the rest of the world, we call it as open economy. Usually it has a trade relation with respect to goods, services and some items in financial assets. So an economy which has a trade relation with the other nations is called as open economy. What is balance of payment? It is a systematic record of all economic transaction of a country with the rest of the world. Or we can say it shows the difference between value of visible and invisible exports and imports of a country for a specified time period, usually a year. What is balance of trade? It is a difference of value of visible items export and import of a country for a specified period, or it is a record of the value of imports and exports of commodities only. What do you mean by fixed exchange rate? The exchange rate is fixed by government at a particular level. We call it as fixed exchange rate. So, is the one way government fixes the exchange rate at a particular level, we call it as fixed exchange rate. Give the meaning of official reserve says. When there is a deficit in the balance of payment, RBI is going to sell foreign exchange. This we call it as official reserve sale. So here, Reserve Bank sells foreign exchange when there is a deficit in the balance of payment. Give the meaning of managed floating. It is a mixture of both fixed exchange rate and flexible exchange rate. So, managed floating exchange rate is a mixture of flexible exchange rate system and fixed exchange rate, where government is going to fix upper and lower limit for exchange rate. In between these two limits, there will be a determination of exchange rate by market forces, that is demand for and supply of foreign currency. Dear students, next topic, 2 marks question and answers. Dear students, if you like, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.